I do want to point out there are certain tests that you can get, like you can actually get some blood work done to see if you have, inflammation markers in your body. They can check your C-reactive proteins and different things like that. And if you're one of those people that likes to test instead of guess, to ask if you have, chronic inflammation, I do know those blood tests are out there and they can be very helpful for people. But sometimes just some symptoms and stuff like that, can help people understand, because a lot of people don't wake up and think, I have systemic inflammation all throughout my body. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the symptoms that people have that they might not even think about as carrying, chronic inflammation. So aches and pains, that was kind of, a lot of people are like, I get up in the morning and, the bottoms of my feet hurt. And, sometimes my hands are really tight. I have to loosen up. People will say, I feel really stiff and achy. So aches and pains are definitely something that are related to a chronic inflammation or systemic inflammation, but anxiety can be a symptom. Blood sugar imbalances, brain fog. A lot of people don't associate brain fog as inflammation, but brain fog, depression, emotional eating, fatigue, headaches, irritability, sleep problems, weight gain. I know I work with a lot of clients that have weight issues and they've tried everything and they still can't lose weight. And sometimes it can be linked to this systemic inflammation or this chronic inflammation. In that list, when somebody says, I struggle with anxiety, the first thing they don't think, oh my gosh, I must have chronic inflammation, or I struggle with depression. It's not usually the first thing that you think, but those are symptoms that can occur when you do have inflammation that's been in your body for a long period of time. So I just want our listeners to know, sometimes if you've got something that's been going on for a very long time and you have tried several things to fix it, you've relied on interventions of different kind and you really haven't been able to get to the root of it, it might be something to consider that inflammation might play a big role in that. So that's what we want to talk about tonight. It's kind of hidden. Wouldn't you agree, Tyler? I wouldn't say that, people come to you with very specific things like I've got headaches or I've got sinus issues or I've got anxiety. They don't say, I have systemic inflammation throughout my body. That, you know what I mean? It's not something that's on our radar. But what was the percentage? You said 80% of disease states can be linked to chronic inflammation. So I think we need to pull it out from behind the curtains and take a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it definitely takes like a syndrome kind of perspective, right? Like usually just the headache itself doesn't tell you exactly what it is, or just the fatigue. But if you're experiencing several of these things, then that's a pretty good sign that, hey, there's something going on inside of me.
Right. And it's lasting.
And it's lasting. Yeah, it's not going away. We shouldn't live like that, right? It's not normal to just live in that state.
Right. Obviously, if I'm up all night long with a baby because I'm a new mama and I didn't get any sleep and I'm up all night long with a baby, of course I'm going to be tired. Of course I'm going to have fatigue. But if I have chronic fatigue all the time, then I might be raising my hand to say, hey, what else is going on?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. This is talking to those of you who say to yourself, man, I am just always tired. I think I slept enough. I don't know, but I still feel tired. I'm eating healthy, still feel tired. Going to the gym, still feel tired. A lot of that can be linked to chronic inflammation. And another thing too is another sign or symptom would be hypertension, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's another thing to look out for as well. So we know so somebody listening to this, they can, and listen, if you're listening to this, yeah, tests are very helpful and they're good. Like I've gotten blood tests to see my inflammation levels. I live in Mexico, so a blood test here is a lot more affordable than in the United States. But for those of you who either don't have health insurance or you just don't like needles and don't want to go get a blood test or things like that, really, I really invite you to listen and feel inside of your body. Like give yourself space in your day to sit down and feel the things you're feeling and just kind of take note of it. And it's not a complaining session. It's more of just like an inventory session, right? And that only happens whenever we can just like give ourselves 10 minutes to sit on the couch or a comfy chair or out in nature in the park or something like that. No phone, no writing notes or anything like that. And just sit and feel and listen to your thoughts and listen to your body. I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure that by the end of that session, you're going to be a lot more connected to what's going on inside of you. And if you can point to several things like, oh yeah, I've had this headache, haven't been able to sleep very well, I wake up in the morning and still feel tired, I've got bloating in my gut. You count a few of those things and like it's pretty likely that you could have some chronic inflammation going on. Obviously, we're not here to diagnose anything and we're not doctors.
Right.
So, but yeah, I really do challenge you because even if you are seeing a practitioner, which I highly encourage, like a doctor, a general practitioner, whatever it is, the more you can sit and feel in your body and be connected to what you've got going on, the better you'll be able to go communicate to your practitioner and your doctor to give them the information they need to help you fully. Because a lot of times, a lot of doctors are really good, and people like are shocked to hear me say that because most doctors are pretty good. And some doctors are really, really, really good, but they don't have all the information always. They've got tests that they can do if they have a hunch about a direction that they can search for. But unfortunately, there's just no test right now that like no one test that can be done to tell you everything that's wrong in your body. Who knows? Maybe with AI that might be changing here soon in the next few years, but next few decades.
Right.
The better that you can explain what you're feeling, what's going on inside of you, and sharing every piece of that goes along with it. Like it's not just the headache, but it's also the fatigue. It's also the bloating. It's also the anxiety. The better picture your doctor will have to be able to like go look for the right things in you. And I think that could help. I know a lot of people, and it's not like it's nobody's fault usually, but a lot of people go undiagnosed with whatever they've had going on for years and years, or if not decades. And my goal as a health coach is to really help try to shorten that gap, to give you the tools to feel inside of yourself, to point to the things that are right and what don't feel right, so that we can kind of shorten that or reduce that number of people that are just going around undiagnosed and unaware of what's going on inside.
Well, and giving people permission to speak up about the little things, because the little things all add up to be big things. You know, I know as we age and as we go through life, we do a lot of justification. You know, I'm 55 years old. You know, I'm post-menopausal. I'm supposed to feel this way. I'm supposed to have less energy. I'm supposed to not sleep as well. You know, that's not true. It's just not true. But we tend to buy into these social norms about, you know, what's good and what's bad. And the other thing that happens is that oftentimes, you know, nobody likes a complainer, right? And so oftentimes we'll kind of hide the things that we're feeling. You know, we'll rally and be like, yes, of course, I'll go to that dinner tonight, when all I want to do is sit on the couch and do nothing. But we don't take the time, like Tyler said, to stop and really listen to those cues from our body. You know, the small things really do add up to the big things. And it's crazy because, you know, it can be like this recurrent spot of acne, you know, or, you know, some sort of little skin thing that shows up all the time, or digestive issues, but it's the recurring stuff. It's not the one-time off things. It's the recurring stuff. And if you find yourself in a pattern of something that's recurring for a long time, you might truly be a sign that you've got some inflammation in your body. And so we want to talk about, first off, recognizing it. It doesn't have to be a swollen ankle like it happens when you sprained your ankle. You know, it can just be a general feeling of unwellness and you don't really know why. I just don't have the energy I used to have. I just don't have the focus I used to have. I'm just kind of dragging ass all the time. You know, I mean, that could be a sign that there's some systemic inflammation going on. And so it's okay to take inventory. I think sometimes we're afraid to take inventory. If I admit to all this shit, then what's going on with me, right? Am I falling apart? No, not at all. The body is miraculous. It can heal from anything. And that's what we as health coaches want to encourage people to understand, is that, you know, just because you have these conditions doesn't mean you have to have them forever. They can be transitional.
This episode is brought to you by oxygen and carbon dioxide. Breathe deep, breathe slow.